Hello again, everybody. This is Noah and John. We are from UrbanDigs. It's Thursday, and we got some crazy news. My boy, Jason Haber, Warburg Realty, who's on this call. I love me some Jason Haber. He texted me I gotta love Jason. He texted me at 10 o'clock at night last night. You know, luckily, John, I was in the middle of a poker game. So, with all my buddies. So, we play poker at night just to keep
virtual poker.
Virtual poker, a no limit hold'em poker, to keep us fresh going into the next day. You got to do these things. Well, and I'm sitting there looking. I'm looking at my flush that I was trying to pull on the turn river, and I look at my text, and it's Jason Haber telling me that what the f they're gonna start showings again. So
I think Noah thought it was an April Fool's joke, by the way, John. I think he was.
I didn't even think about that, but you know what? If I was smart, I would have thought about that. So I go to the Real Deal, and there it is. John, look at this. Home showings allowed to resume, and it's deemed essential, but social distancing is urged. So just so you guys know, this came out, and then earlier this morning, I got an update from James Whalen, who's our REBNY president, and he clarified, just so everyone clarifies this, all right? So I want to make sure the information is as accurate as we have. Dear Noah, the health and safety of our members and all New Yorkers is our top priority. And as you know, there were a number of announcements made yesterday evening indicating that certain activities conducted by real estate licensees have now been deemed essential. Please note these guidelines are not yet final and have not been published by the Empire State Development Corporation. All previous executive orders and guidelines remain in effect, okay? So let's just say that there's going to be confusion now. We don't know what's going on in terms of whether or not this is real or whether or not this is going to get voted on or it's signed off on or anything. And I imagine as we go through the day, it's going to happen. So with that said, Jason, what's going on, man?
So there's a couple of things happening here. So first of all, Empire State Development Corporation was charged with determining who's an essential worker and who's not. So even before this, you could apply to Empire State Development Corporation for a waiver. So a lot of companies did this for like their IT department heads, for example, to make sure that they could get in and keep the systems up and running. So apparently they came out with this, whether it's a formal ruling or just a draft proposal seems to be the question right now. Let's assume for the moment maybe it's not in effect at this hour, but it's something that's clearly on the table. Best case scenario is it's on the table. Worst case scenario is it's in effect as we're speaking right now. What this would do is permit real estate agents to begin showings. And the problem is that now an agent will have to choose between their health and their business. And we're risking agents going out into the marketplace virus across the city and state. Unlike truly essential workers, not just our healthcare workers who are amazing, but the folks who work in grocery stores, the people who work in pharmacies, those are really essential workers to get us what we need right now to get through this. They're also more stationary and their jobs are in one fixed location. Ours aren't, right? So we're traveling all over the city, and if someone's a carrier, an asymptomatic carrier, they can be seeding the virus, and we can create a whole new round of community spread. And we're doing this at the moment that we're approaching the apex of the caseload. And so this is exactly the wrong time to be sending agents out into the field. This is the time to heed what the governor has said: stay home, stay home, stay home, and wait for this to get better. This will get better, but it will get better sooner if we all listen and stay home and maintain social distancing. So this order does the exact opposite of that. It puts us out there, and at the same time, it risks health. Agents with pre-existing conditions should not be out there. Agents, even without pre-existing conditions, should not be out there. None of it makes any sense whatsoever.
Timing is very weird.
Going into other people's buildings, going into elevators of other people's buildings, it does not make sense right now. It's just the wrong time for this sort of decision to come out, and we've got to work hard right now to get this quickly reversed. I've never seen a group of people more dedicated to not working than the real estate community since this came out. You know, our credit, to REBNY's credit, to the heads of the firms, like they get it. We're in a dangerous moment. We're going to get through it. We're going to be okay, but we just have to wait it out. This is a premature decision to put us back into the marketplace that has a lot of negative effects. One of the other negative effects, which is worth pointing out, guys, is that this week, agents have, for the first time ever, been applying for unemployment insurance. Under the CARES Act, agents now qualify. So the last 3-4 days of this week, agents have been filing unemployment claims. Guess what? If we're deemed essential, that now calls into question whether the unemployment claims can be processed. Because if you can go to your office, if you can conduct business, you can't collect unemployment. So that's a whole other issue. Right now that we're also dealing with.
John, you got something on your mind. I'll let you go here.
Yeah, I just have a few. So the first one is that I think there's a question remaining if this is actually a push from the downstate agents, or if this is something that came from upstate where real estate, the industry is involved in a lot less dense environments where it's sort of, you get in your car, you drive to a house, you show an empty house. That could be part of the issue here. The second issue, I think, has to do with the actual nitty-gritty and implementation of this. So I know that a lot of managing agents, such as Elliman, have prohibited any kind of outsiders from coming into buildings. There's move-in, move-outs have stopped.
Right.
Agents are just not allowed to show. So regardless of what Cuomo says, you know, the law west of the Pecos is basically no one comes in, no one goes out. It doesn't matter who you are. So it's going to be tricky to see how this actually happens.
I mean, it just doesn't make sense. And now I tell you something. I got a text message from a client an hour ago. $15 million buyer said, "Now that you guys are back to work, let's set up appointments to see homes." How many times in my life do I tell a $15 million buyer, "No, we're not going out to look at homes right now"? But this is the tension that this ruling has created, because now I have a buyer who apparently isn't concerned about public health, but nevertheless, I have a buyer who wants to go out right now.
You know, I got to tell you, I'm surprised. And you know what? My reaction before you just told me that, my reaction was going to be, I bet you firms, even if the order's lifted, I bet you firms don't strongly advise, or even just flat out say you can't show. We're enforcing our own rules. We want you to stay home. We care about you more than, I mean, we understand the business. I'm hoping that in some capacity there was something in there for agents to bridge the gap.
Right, but is there some sort of competitive disadvantage? So let's say I say no to that buyer. Do they then find another broker who will show them a house?
Right.
And then do I risk losing business because I was trying to be a good citizen?
Right. I mean, it's a tough call. I mean, you just said before, you know, we were just warned basically the next 2-3 weeks are going to be brutal.
Right. Right. So if you look at, there's all these different models that you can look at, and I track the University of Washington as a very good model on this, and they show where the apex is both the bed count, which is later because people get sick first and then they go to the hospital. But what's coming first is the peak of the caseload. And so we're approaching that peak. We're still about a week and a half away, but it's coming. And now's the time where it's most important to limit any spread, because the hospitals then will be overwhelmed afterwards in dealing with caseload. So we're not at the time where we're trying to ease restrictions and get folks back out there because things are improving. They're not. As bad as this has been so far, it's the next week that we haven't lived yet that you're going to be telling your grandchildren about and your children about one day, not what's happened so far. The worst is still ahead. What we'll remember most about this is still ahead. Yeah. So this is so premature.
And that's why the timing just is so weird. Like, I mean, it's just such a strange, it's right when they were telling us the next couple of weeks are going to be brutal. Just the timing of it just doesn't make sense.
So I've been in conversation now with 4 different elected officials. None of them knew about this. No one knew about this. And so they're also now reaching out to the governor's office. And you're going to see a lot of statements coming out today from local officials who are going to stand with us and try to get this changed.
Yeah. Do you think most agents agree with you? I mean, I'm surprised. If I was a buyer, I mean, I wouldn't even really, like, I'd be very hesitant to physically go and take a look at 10 properties.
I mean, I would be too, but, you know, I don't know. Everyone, I say to people that some people look at the virus as sort of like a Rorschach test. Some people look at it and they see fear and danger, which is true. And other people say, I mean, it's, you know, everyone's different. And it's just that if you have someone that wants to look, it's hard. You have to say no right now. Listen, I've actually done a few deals this last 2 weeks, but they've been in Miami where I've sent people down for referral.
Right.
They've been outside the city. I've had a lot of referrals over the last 2 weeks, which has been great, but nothing locally here, nothing new anyway locally here, because we're not encouraging people to go out.
Right. Yeah. All right. And look, I just happen to agree with you that if we contain this thing sooner, we'll get back to business sooner. I mean, the
Right.
last thing you want is this thing to be stretched out, and the last thing you want is to go back to business and then have another wave and then have to go into isolation again for 3 more months. I mean, you want to get rid of this stupid thing.
Right.
So,
like we just, you know, we're really doing well, I think, on social distancing overall. I think the mayor had made a big mistake in not closing the playgrounds much earlier. I mean, I had been calling for that. A lot of people have been calling for that. But generally speaking, the message was received, and New Yorkers have done a very good job. I mean, you can just see it just walking outside in different neighborhoods overall of social distancing. And like you don't want to ease up on the reins right now. If anything, this is the time to keep pulling them back, and at this critical moment.
you know why? Because we were told about it. You know, our expectations were already met. Before that announcement came out, everyone was under the assumption that April's just no longer showing. Like everyone was all right. It is what it is.
The cake was baked.
Yeah, it was already in. Like it already happened. That's why this is so messed up. Like now this is bringing up all these emotions, and you're gonna have different sides, and the other side's gonna be like, well, I gotta work and I gotta make money, and I mean, and you're right. You know, that has to happen. But I think like we got to adapt to this virtual world so that you can get back to work quicker on a more permanent long-term basis, and as opposed to just extending this whole problem. So this is just messes with our emotions, and that's it. Listen,
It does. And also, by the way, like, I mean, who's to say like an agent won't go out there and get sick as a result? Like, I mean,
it seems like a lot of liability kind of there, and no firm's going to want that. A firm's going to be like, I don't want the liability of having my agent. I mean, that will come out later. All right, listen, we're going to find out today probably. And
yes, hopefully.
I bet you they shut it down.
I hope so.
You know, so let's see what happens. Thank you so much.
You got it.
Jason Haber, Warburg Realty. This is Noah and John from UrbanDigs. We're just doing a quick special edition, and we'll catch you next time. Thanks, guys.
Cool. Thank you.